Hi my friends, my name is Francis. I use they them pronouns and I'm glad you're here. Now if you've been following my channel for a while, I'd like to give you a very quick brief update. I'm bringing the channel in a new direction. That doesn't mean that if you're subscribed you're not going to like the content coming out, because it's the same sort of content, it's just more directed, finally found the purpose of the channel, that kind of thing. I worked at this camp over the summer, right, where it was just like a whole bunch of kids from the LGBT plus community. They were there for fine arts, but there were a lot of queer kids there, and they had a lot of questions for me that they didn't necessarily have someone else to go to with, and so then I was sort of like the guru, I guess, or something like that. And then in the same book, on a different page, I'm also the person that a lot of strangers come out to. Like people who I've met that same day will be like, by the way, I'm non-binary and I haven't told a single soul yet other than you. And I'm like, oh, okay. What I gather from all that information is that that's where I should take my channel. It's clearly something that my soul just gravitates towards, and so this channel is going to be geared towards helping young queer kids and answering questions that kids might have, queer or not queer. Whoever finds my channel, whoever I can help, I'm here for you. Hi, so glad you're on my channel. To kick off my new channel direction, I am going to use a question that I asked myself a lot as I came into my non-binary identity, and that a kid at camp asked me about their identity, which is this: can I be non-binary and still present feminine or masculine? Can I be non-binary and present either as the gender I was assigned at birth or the opposite gender, and can I still be non-binary? Like, how does that all work? The simple answer is yes, you can be non-binary and still present this way, that way, anyway, really, because gender presentation is not equal to gender identity. So you could be a trans man who presents and lives your life as a feminine person and still wants they them pronouns, he him pronouns. You could be a trans woman and still present and live your day as presenting masculine. You're valid either way. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who are sort of confused because, you know, in a lot of people's minds, presentation directly correlates to gender identity. So unfortunately, if you decide to present feminine or masculine, people might assume gender stuff. But there is no one way to be non-binary. That's kind of like the point. There's the two genders that everyone knows, right, which is male and female, and then there's this gender that is being more talked about now, which is not one gender, it's beyond those two other genders. It's a spectrum, it's a grander scope of things. And so if you're non-binary, you know, in that third category, it's not a third gender, it's a third category. There is no one set definition for non-binary because it is such a broad category. Therefore, there's no one way to present as non-binary. It is, as its name says, beyond a binary. You can dress however you want. But I definitely understand where the feelings of being invalid come from in that situation. I present feminine pretty much all the time. I present feminine, but I'm still non-binary. I still use they them pronouns. I don't get dysphoria about like having feminine hair or feminine clothing. I get dysphoria from feminine pronouns, which it becomes a hard thing to navigate. I definitely understand feeling invalid presenting feminine or masculine and identifying as non-binary, but there's no one way to be. You're non-binary, that's you're non-binary. Interestingly enough, I have a friend and we were talking about how after we became accepting of our identity and started identifying as non-binary and using they them pronouns, we actually felt more comfortable dressing feminine, which was interesting, not something that either of us expected, but both of us experienced. I'm not sure if other people have experienced that also. If you have, tell me in the comments. I'd be super curious. I think it's really interesting stuff. Yeah, but we both sort of realized that once we were like, yeah, I'm non-binary and I use they them pronouns, all of a sudden we were more comfortable dressing feminine, because it was like, this is my theory at least, this is my personal theory, I don't know their situation with it anymore, but our whole lives we were forced to dress feminine, expected to dress feminine. And I was like, no, that's a lie, that's not who I am, because it was like dressing feminine meant I'm a girl, you know? And that wasn't it for me. And then once I was like, wait, no, I'm non-binary, all of a sudden it was like, this is my choice to dress feminine. It's not somebody forcing me. It's not society expecting me to dress feminine. This is what makes me comfortable. So I don't know. I thought that was cool. I thought that was worth sharing. There's a general rule in the non-binary community where if your question is, can I be non-binary? And the answer is yes. Because again, it doesn't have that set definition. Some people will try to gatekeep non-binary, but like in general, it's not really a gatekeepable thing. It's who you are. It's who you are. People can't gatekeep who you are. They'll try, but they can't. And one of the things that people will say who are trying to exclude non-binary people from the trans umbrella, which people are like, to be non-binary, you have to have dysphoria. And I disagree with that. Personally, I have dysphoria, but I am of the belief that you do not need dysphoria to be non-binary. I saw a post the other day that actually talked about this really well. They said that oftentimes people will be like, oh, you have to have dysphoria to be trans, and they don't pay attention to the fact that euphoria is just as important as dysphoria. They aren't like, dysphoria doesn't weigh more than euphoria. I mean, on your heart it does. If you present masculine and it gives you euphoria, but presenting feminine doesn't give you dysphoria, like, it's still just masculine because it gives you euphoria. if using they them pronouns gives you gender euphoria, that's important. Even if she, her, he, him doesn't give you dysphoria, euphoria is important and valid. And I think that, you know, if you get euphoria from different gender things, then claim it. if you want to claim it, that is. Here's the main takeaway. No one can tell you how to be non-binary. I've had some well-meaning people giving them the benefit of the doubt and assuming that they were well-meaning try to give me advice who they weren't trans or anything, and their advice was sort of along the lines of, well, instead of identifying as non-binary, why don't you just call yourself one of the guys, or a butch lesbian, or why don't you dress just androgynous in general? And the thing about that is that those are all unrelated. Those might be related to different gender experiences within different genders. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Comment, dress more androgynously. Dressing androgynous actually gives me dysphoria and makes me feel uncomfortable in my own body. When I feel like I have to. When I feel like I have to dress androgynous, then it makes me feel uncomfortable in my own body. If I just dress someday and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty androgynous, I usually like that if I made the active decision to put on the outfit I put on. My point is, people will tell you, do this, do that. You know, maybe you're not non-binary, you're this. Maybe you're experience this instead. At the end of the day, 1, you know best. And 2, there is genuinely nothing wrong with trying on a label. Sorry if you're in Britain, I just flipped you off, I think. There is genuinely nothing wrong with trying on a label. If you think you might be bi, you can call yourself bi and then later say, oh wait, never mind, I'm straight. I think it's Demi Lovato at one point talking about their identity said, there might become a day when I identify as a man, or there could even be a day when I identify as a woman again. And that's all valid. Like, your identity can change, it's fluid. Basically what I'm saying is you can try on non-binary and later find out that it doesn't work out for you and identify as something else again. Going off of, you don't need dysphoria to be valid and non-binary. You don't need surgery, you don't need to change your pronouns, you don't need to change your name. You don't need to have any sort of transition to still be non-binary. And you know, there's terms like demi-boy, demi-girl, those sort of things. Whereas people who are sometimes non-binary, but also for the most part live their lives, you know, still being feminine or masculine, still using their same name they were giving at birth, still using the pronouns that they have been using their whole lives, like, all that stuff's valid. The cool thing is that society is changing. The kid who was asking me if they could still present feminine and identify as non-binary, their main question was that they used she, they pronouns, and then throughout the course of the 2 weeks we were at camp decided to switch to they, she pronouns. And then at some point they asked me if it were valid for them to go by they, them pronouns and still present feminine. And that's where this whole video is coming from. I'm trying to answer their question. I don't know if they'll see this video. Hope they do. If you're out there, hi, I miss you. Yeah, you can use any pronouns and present any way you want at the end of the day. Some people are going to get mad at that advice. Maybe Bearing will do a video on me, or Blair White or someone. I don't really care about that. What I care about is talking to genderqueer kids right now who are questioning stuff. You're valid, and you can, it's your life, it's your body, your gender, your identity, it's you. So live what's right for you. Society is changing. I know it can be very discouraging, but society is changing for the better. I have seen it firsthand. Just a couple years ago I worked at daycare, and then last year I worked at a daycare, and just in those short few years, so much has changed. Like little boys playing house with each other, getting married with their painted nails, and during dress up putting on dresses, and little girls getting short haircuts and playing with action figures and hanging out with the boys. Like, it's really cool to see. The camp that I keep talking about was very formative in my gender identity and my gender self-acceptance words. It's really cool. So if you're out there and you're feeling discouraged, maybe you live out in the middle of nowhere like I do, and everyone for the next 20 billion miles is a conservative, and you're like scared, and you're like, and people are telling you people will only respect you on the internet. It's not true. It's not true. Society is changing. Tides of change are coming, and we will be brought to safety. That was a weird way of saying that, but I want to give you an encouragement if you're feeling weighed down by gender stuff, if you're getting dead named and misgendered all the time, if people are saying transphobic things to you. I'm right there with you. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Society is getting better. Queer people, genderqueer people are being accepted and loved more and more as time goes on, and it's really beautiful. The things coming are really beautiful, and I'm here with you, and lots of people are here with you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, like any questions at all about queerness or anything about the world, drop them in the comments and I will do my best to get to them if I feel capable of answering the question. Yeah, I'm gonna try to post videos every Wednesday. Okay, I'm gonna really try to commit to that. I love you guys so much. Because my channel's taking a change, I think I'm gonna put an end to smash that like button like you're Kirby doing a down B, because it doesn't really make sense without the context. But if you like this video, this is the last time I'm doing this. I just made this decision right now. I don't know if it's a mistake. If you like this video, smash that like button like you're Kirby doing a down B, and do the same to the subscribe button or something. I love you guys. Stay safe, drink water. Goodbye.